Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So let me just make sure sound and everything is intact. Guys, you might have noticed that I've added a banner in the beginning when I'm starting. It allows people to get a notification, hopefully, if the notification system is doing what the notification system is supposed to do. And kind of gives a running start. So ideally somebody is here by the time I get here. I stole that from Jimmy Dore's show, so thanks Jimmy Dore. First and foremost, look, I want to thank all the people who donate, Patreon, Super Chat, all that good stuff. All the people who like and share my videos, you guys are fucking awesome. Thank you very much. Please be sure to hit the notification bell just to be on the safe side. Apparently, people say they don't necessarily always get the notifications. So I had a different story planned, and I go to Twitter. I tweet, and I see this. And it blew my mind, like mind absolutely blown.
To see all this stuff. Wait. I mean, it is disturbing.
Wait. I've said in the past that politicians have, it's like a muscle, it's like a superpower, the ability to deal with massive amounts of shame, and not get across that they're dealing with massive amounts of shame. It's the way Deborah Wasserman-Schultz can look the reporter in the eye and say something just completely insane. It's the way Hillary Clinton can get there and just lie. You know she's lying. You ask about her speeches. Now, the fact that she has hidden Wall Street speeches in no way stops her from bringing up Donald Trump's tax returns. Shame. Shame. It is not the easiest thing to do for normal human beings, but for politicians, it is like a secret muscle that they have at their disposal. News people also. News personalities, and it hurts me to say this one because I used to like Rachel Maddow. She has gone off of a fucking cliff. If you want to talk Trump derangement syndrome, tune in at 9 p.m. You can see it on full display. And this one is one of those things of shame. Rachel Maddow is not a politician, but god damn it, shame. Let's take a look at this. I saw this. And I was like, I have to do a video on this. Immediately. I need to do a video on this. Right at this very moment. Rachel Maddow taking on unhuman quantities of shame and doing it with a smile and a straight face.
Who cleared him to see all this stuff? I mean, it is disturbing and unprecedented enough that this president has decided to have blind faith in his son-in-law and give him access to classified information just as his judgment call. But with this Rob Porter situation, it's not even clear that this was the president's judgment call. This is a problem in the White House for the highest level classified information that we've got. I mean, this is a systemic problem. If the president didn't know there was a problem with this guy's clearance, that means somebody provided that guy with classified information without him being cleared to see it and without the president waiving the clearance process. Isn't that illegal?
Rachel, it may or may not be illegal. It is probably illegal if somebody in the White House is giving classified materials to somebody else. Fair enough. If it's top secret, yes, it's probably going to be illegal if that person gives something to someone else that person is not supposed to see. Why weren't you up on this whole illegality when Clinton was in office? She was the Secretary of State. The woman had put a server in her basement. And before you say, well, she was cleared of that, take a look at this. I pulled these up because I wanted to nail this down. Just because Clinton got off doesn't mean Clinton should have gotten off. Meaning, there were oddities and weirdness with the way the investigation was being held, and you can understand why. Loretta Lynch is the top person in that administration. Obama put Loretta Lynch in. In no way does Obama want his Secretary of State to get perp-walked. I would imagine that as a president, that's not something you want to take place. So it's not crazy to me that Loretta Lynch would put a little bit of pressure on Comey to say things in a particular way, to even take the case in a particular way. Because we find out after the fact that Comey didn't really do an investigation. Meaning he didn't ask questions, or he didn't question Hillary Clinton before drafting the release of what he was going to say. Meaning the conclusion they were going to come to. I want to make the point that she was guilty of sin Guilty as sin. If Rachel Maddow is all of a sudden, the inspector on the case, trying to get down to everything that's passed to somebody that doesn't supposed to get passed, where were you a few years ago when this email issue was up for grabs and up for discussion? I don't remember her. I don't remember Rachel Maddow being the watchdog or the man on the wall for all things that are illegally passed or classified materials being illegally passed. I don't remember Rachel Maddow being this man on the wall in the last administration for that. In fact, I'm going to make two arguments. One, the only reason she cares about this is because it's Donald Trump. In the same situation with Hillary Clinton, where Hillary Clinton was giving hundreds of emails of classified information, they found it on Wiener's server. Classified information found on Wiener's server. Now, carelessness is an understatement. Carelessness is an understatement. And I would make the case that based on previous crime law, or based on previous cases, Hillary Clinton should have been convicted. Hillary Clinton should have been put in prison. Hillary Clinton should have been perp walked. But that's not something you cared all that much about. There's an interview with Rachel Maddow talking to Hillary Clinton about the Clinton Foundation. And I'm submitting this purely just from an evidentiary standpoint to show what was Rachel Maddow's tenor towards Hillary Clinton. What was her tenor towards Hillary Clinton? We see that she's deputy dog on the case for the stuff dealing with Donald Trump. All things Trump. Trump in Russia, Trump in Iran, Trump dealing with Iranian guards, Trump in the mafia, Trump in everything else. Trump in white supremacists. Trump beats his women. Trump cheated on his wife. Trump in everything else. Trump and everything else. I guess I don't understand how you could care so little about the Clinton case when she was putting emails all over the place, server in her basement. But on this, isn't that illegal? Isn't that illegal? Yes, Rachel, and so was the last thing. So was the one that you were willing to give a pass because she was in your party. When Rachel Maddow had the opportunity to speak with Hillary Clinton, I remember this interview. And I thought to myself, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So let's take a look at this. Yeah, come on. By the way, I'm only showing this from an evidence standpoint to show the tenor that she takes for one versus the other. Deputy dog in regards to Donald Trump, and Hillary Clinton not caring that much. And even when it's something that's a substantive issue that she cares about, meaning it's something that she herself brings up, notice the lazy way this is brought up. And there is no follow-up to this question, by the way. And if you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, she didn't follow that up. Listen to this question when she's asked about the Clinton Foundation. Rachel Maddow brings this up. Rachel Maddow asks, hey, this looks like a problem. I mean, aren't you going to get rid of the Clinton Foundation once you become president? I mean, it looks like people can rightfully influence you. If they're giving you money, if you have these foreign governments giving you money, it looks like they're going to influence you. Is it possible, is it reasonable to say that a person looking at this can say, man, they're trying to gain influence into the president of the United States? Good question. It's a good question. Let's listen to the answer. And again, Rachel Maddow has no follow-up to this. I remember this interview. I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, that's it? That's all? Let's take a look.
Let me ask you one last question, which I'm asking in part because we're here in New York, which is the headquarters of the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiative. Is there a case to be made, an ethical case to be made, that the Clinton Foundation and the Global Initiative should essentially be wound down as a family foundation while you run for president? I ask that because I think about the good works, the good charitable works that the Clinton Foundation has done. But the way that some of that work gets done is by soliciting donations from people in this country, from people around the world, from organizations around the world. I think it is not unreasonable to suspect that people may give donations to the Clinton Foundation hoping that they will favorably influence your opinion toward them as as a presidential candidate or eventually as president if you're elected. Is there enough ethical concern there that there should be essentially a split between you and your family and this foundation that has done good work?
All right, I'm going to pause this right there for a moment. It's lagging. But good question. Very good question. The entire interview was a softball interview. So the idea that this question came up, this was probably the hardest question that she asked. She seems to be jittery asking the question because she's repeating herself as she's asking the question. It's done good work. It's done good work. It's done good work. But it's an immensely fair question. If you're trying to run for the President of the United States, hell, forget that, Secretary of State, and you have all of these other states, companies, agencies, countries giving you money, you don't think that a reasonable person looking at that can say, it looks like they're trying to buy your influence. Why are they getting to the Clinton Global Initiative? They can give to anybody. They can give to the Red Cross. They can give to their own charities in their own nations. They give to you for a very specific reason. When they pick up the phone, they know somebody's going to call back, particularly if you're given 7 digits. Let's see if this is sped up enough. And let's hear Clinton's answer.
But now you're in a different position with regard to potential donors.
Well, look, I think that the work that it's done has been extraordinary, and I give the credit to my husband and my daughter because I haven't been involved for that long. And you know, when I look at what they've accomplished and what they've been able to amplify in terms of saving lives by getting the price of drugs for HIV/AIDS down in sub-Saharan Africa, it's quite astonishing. And I would hate to lose that creativity, that imagination, that extraordinary flexibility. So I think the answer is transparency. And there is no doubt that there will be complete transparency about donations. But when you have hundreds of thousands of people who are donating, as they do, I think that the best answer for that is what we have been doing for the last several years, and that is to be transparent about it and let voters and others make their judgment.
Madam Secretary.
She ended on that question. There was no follow-up to that question. Essentially, hey, would a reasonable person say that these people are trying to influence you by giving to the Clinton Foundation? I mean, it has your goddamn last name. No, I'm not getting rid of it, no. Ultimately, all of that Clinton said was boiled down to no. This is not going anywhere. Now, we know that the staff that she uses, I guess her core staff that she uses to run for office, she, essentially houses them in the Clinton Foundation. But that's the hardest question Rachel Maddow asks. And something that screamed for follow-up, like, well, wait a minute, but couldn't a reasonable person say that this is, this looks bad, even if from a position of optics, this just looks bad? Don't you think that this is something that they can attack you with? There's all sorts of questions you can ask following up with that particular thing. She didn't delve. She didn't delve. Rachel Maddow did not care about any issue with Clinton in these emails. When she was shipping those emails all across to whoever, and all these people are saying these things that aren't supposed to be saying these things, she didn't care at all. That's my point. She would softball something like that with Hillary Clinton. When it comes to Donald Trump, she's Johnny on the spot, and all the I's need to be dotted and everything else. I'm saying she's a hack. That's what I'm saying. And just to put a finer point on it, if Rachel Maddow cared, she should have been howling at the moon about Hillary Clinton getting off because she was guilty of sin. Listen to this. This is Comey. And this is after Comey says, okay, we're not going to press charges.
Secretary Clinton said there was nothing marked classified on her emails, either sent or received. Was that true?
That's not true. There were a small number of portion markings on, I think, 3 of the documents.
Secretary Clinton said, I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material. Was that true?
There was classified material emailed.
Secretary Clinton said she used just one device. Was that true?
She used multiple devices during the 4 years of her term as Secretary of State.
Secretary Clinton said all work-related emails were returned to the State Department. Was that true?
No, we found work-related emails, thousands, that were not returned.
Secretary Clinton said neither she nor anyone else deleted work-related emails from her personal account. Was that true?
That's a harder one to answer. We found traces of work-related emails on devices or in Slack space, whether they were deleted or whether when a server was changed out, something happened to them. There's no doubt that there were work-related emails that were removed electronically from the email system.
Secretary Clinton said her lawyers read every one of the emails and were overly inclusive. Did her lawyers read the email content individually?
No.
Well, in the interest of time, and because I have a plane to catch tomorrow afternoon, I'm not going to go through any more of the false statements, but I am going to ask you to put on your old hat. False exculpatory statements, they are used for what?
Well, either for a substantive prosecution or for evidence of intent in a criminal prosecution.
Exactly. Intent and consciousness of guilt, right?
The C-SPAN.
All right, so that's a host of lies associated with what Hillary Clinton was saying in regards to the email server. Look, I've said before, on that, I think she's guilty of sin. And Comey, we find out, had already come to a decision before Comey really actually even talked to Hillary Clinton. And beyond that, let's see, this guy, we find this out. Peter Strzok's, the second highest ranking counterintelligence agent at the FBI, was involved at key junctures in Hillary Clinton email investigation and the Trump-Russia probe. Strzok was reportedly the official responsible for changing the language in former FBI Director James Comey's settlement describing Clinton's private email server use from grossly negligent, which could carry criminal penalties, to extremely careless. Strzok was also the FBI agent who officially signed off on the Bureau's decision to launch its Russia investigation in July 2016. Strzok was ousted from Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team last August after he sent anti-Trump text messages to a colleague, and investigators are now reviewing texts for any evidence of political bias. Guess what? There was political bias. There was political bias. So the guy who was instrumental in starting the Russian investigation was also the guy that was instrumental in making sure Hillary Clinton was not perp-walked. Make sure she wasn't perp-walked. Comey clears her. And at the same token, Comey is stuck in this odd situation of explaining, yes, she lied about that. Yes, she lied about that. Yes, she also lied about that. Yes, she also lied about that. Eventually, one of them saying, well, how the hell did she get off? How did she get off? Well, it sounds like she had help on getting off. Now, Rachel Maddow, being deputy dog on the case, doesn't really care about this. She didn't care about it at the time. She didn't care about it right now. She cares about the stuff with Donald Trump purely because it's Donald Trump. If it was Hillary Clinton, she wouldn't care at all. I'm saying she's a hack. Let's go further into this. Right here. In Comey's testimony, Comey said, look, we haven't found any cases of anybody being guilty of this. Meaning, we couldn't charge Hillary Clinton with anything because, no reasonable lawyer would bring a case like this. Nobody has been charged on something like this. So, we don't have any case history on this. That's what Comey said when he came out for a press conference explaining why he was allowing Hillary Clinton to walk on something that everybody knew she was guilty of sin on. This is the email. This is Zero Hedge. Peak FBI corruption. Meet Brian Nishimuro, found guilty for removal and retention of classified materials. You don't say. In a scandalous announcement, FBI Director James Comey moments ago said that although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, and he gave extensive evidence of just that, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor will bring such a case. He added that prosecutors necessarily weigh a number of factors before bringing charges. There are obvious considerations like strength of evidence, especially regarding intent. Responsible decisions also consider the context of a person's actions and how similar the situations have handled in the past. What is shocking is that the FBI director was clearly ignoring the United States Code itself, where Section 793, subsection F, gathering, transmitting, or losing defense information, it makes it quite clear that intent is not a key consideration in the case, like when deciding to press charges, to wit. Whoever being entrusted or having lawfully possession or control of any document, writing, code book, signal book, sketch, photographic negative, blueprint, plan, map, model, instrument, appliance, note, or information relating to national defense. Number 1, through gross negligence, permits the same to be removed from its proper place of custody or delivered to anyone in violation of his trust, or to be lost, stolen, abstracted, or destroyed, or having knowledge that the same has been illegally removed from its proper place of custody or delivered to anyone in violation of its trust, or lost or stolen, abstracted, or destroyed, and fails to make a prompt report of such a loss, theft, abstraction, or destruction of his superior officer, shall be fined under the title or in prison not more than 10 years, or both. What is even more shocking is that according to Comey, we cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts. Well, we did. Here's the FBI itself, less than a year ago, charging one Brian Nishimura, 50, of Foslam, who pleaded guilty to unauthorized removal and retention of classified materials without malicious intent. In other words, precisely what the FBI alleged Hillary Clinton did. When people say that she got off, there are reasons people say she got off. I'm not going to go through the reasons. I'm just saying, it is very clear that if Rachel Maddow actually cared about this, Rachel Maddow would have been doing the exact same thing with Hillary Clinton when Hillary Clinton was on the campaign trail, when Hillary Clinton was in the State Department. She said she was mum. She was mum. Dude may be breaking the law. She was certainly breaking the law. Rachel Maddow had nothing to say about Hillary Clinton breaking the law. She has everything to say about Trump breaking the law. I'm just making a point. She is a hack. She is a hack. Yeah, she's going to get a lot of people on her show because they want somebody to do the Red Menace thing, and they like this idea of Rachel Maddow beating up on Trump because they hate Donald Trump. But Jesus Christ, at a certain point, it becomes ridiculous. I don't understand how anybody could see that clip. Let's show the clip again, just so anybody coming a little bit late. Let's just show it again.
Son-in-law and give him access to classified information just as his judgment call. But with this Rob Porter situation, it's not even clear that this was the president's judgment call. This is a problem in the White House for the highest level classified information that we've got. I mean, this is a systemic problem. If the president didn't know there was a problem with this guy's clearance, that means somebody provided that guy with classified information without him being cleared to see it and without the president waiving the clearance process. Isn't that illegal?
If Rachel Maddow comes out and supports a special prosecutor for Hillary Clinton, I will eat my hat. I will eat my hat. I will take this hat off and I will choke this hat down on the show in front of everybody. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Fucking amazing. Man, I saw this. I'm looking through Twitter and I see she's like, yeah, we think somebody in the Trump administration gave information to somebody, illegally. That seems illegal. And it's this kind of breathtaking thing of, whoa, I almost fell out of my seat. This is like that wave of hypocrisy just hits you. Like in the movies, they have a ship explodes and it's a shockwave just go. It was like a wave of hypocrisy just coming out of the screen, just reeling from shame and hypocrisy. That's fucking amazing. It's fucking amazing. And just to put a fine point on it, let's see, there was one more. Yeah, right here. And this is The Intercept. Rachel Maddow sees a Russian connection lurking around every corner. around every corner. Trump and Russia. She's one of the main patriots. One day after her network joined the rest of corporate media in cheering for President Trump's missile attack on Syria, Rachel Maddow was back on the regular business, seeing Russian collaboration with Trump at work. It's impossible, fellow anchor Lawrence O'Donnell told Maddow on April 7th, to rule out Vladimir Putin orchestrated what happened in Syria this week so that his friend in the White House could have a big night with missiles and all of the praise he's picked up over the last 24 hours. Maddow concurred, suggesting that only the FBI's ongoing probe into Trump alleged collusion with Russia electoral interference would determine the truth. Maybe eventually we'll get an answer to that from Director Jim Comey, Maddow said. Now, mind you, Comey was the guy who just came out and cleared her friend Hillary Clinton. Now, Comey cleared her, lying about it, in the process of clearing her. We've never had a case that we could bring on it. Well, that's a lie. You had a case last year. Nobody would bring this case. You had a case last year. Well, she didn't have an intent to do this. Intent was not a part of the process. Intent was not part of the process. Why isn't Rachel Maddow screaming about that? Why isn't she screaming about that? That just seems like a big deal, man. She's making a big deal out of it now. Why didn't she make a big deal out of it then? The Washington Post noted that the conspiracy theory drew derision from across the political spectrum, but it was not out of place. MSNBC, the country's most prominent liberal media outlet, has played a key role in stoking the frenzy over Trump's alleged involvement with Russian meddling into the U.S. presidential election, in lockstep with the Democratic Party's most avid partisans. Now, let's see. The Intercept conducted a quantitative study of all 28 Rachel Maddow episodes in the 6-week period between February 20th and March 31st. Russia-focused segments accounted for 53% of these broadcasts. That figure is conservative, excluding segments where Russia was discussed but not the overarching topic. Maddow coverage has dwarfed the time devoted to other top issues, including Trump escalating crackdown on undocumented immigrants, 1.3% coverage, Obamacare repeal, 3.8% coverage, the legal battle over Trump's Muslim ban, 5.6% coverage, a surge in anti-GOP activism in town halls since Trump took office, 5.8%, and Trump administration scandals and stumbles, 11%. You know what I didn't hear in that? Any of Democrat foibles, fuck-ups, or failures. If you're spending, just look, I would imagine there may be some people who like Maddow here. I used to love Maddow's show. The truth of the matter is, something I realized. Maddow is giving you two perspectives, one of which is an absolute lie. So the first perspective is overt. The second one is not. It's implicit. And it's not from one particular show. It's from a collection of shows in totality. Meaning you get one impression when you watch the show, meaning she's giving you information. That information may be true or that information may be false, but she's explicitly giving you information. Implicitly or implicit, when you watch multiple shows, particularly when you watch a lot of her shows and you're an avid watcher, implicit in her argument is Republicans are the problem. It is implicit. It is dripping from the show itself. It is impossible to leave the show without coming from that conclusion. Everything in that show aligns essentially with Democratic politics and Democratic policy. The reason she didn't care that Comey let Hillary Clinton off was because Hillary Clinton and her were, for the most part, on the same side. The reason she didn't care about the emails was, again, because they were on the same side. She cares about the stuff with Donald Trump because Donald Trump is in a different party than she is. She's a partisan hack. She's not a journalist. She's not a reporter. She's a talking head partisan hack. That's my point. If you're going to say that everything is about Republicans and you're going to get Democrats a pass on one issue after the next, if Rachel Maddow is indeed a lefty, then in some degree she is being failed by this party also. But if you're going to give them a pass on one issue after the next, you can't call yourself, I'm not going to say you can't call yourself a lefty, but ultimately you're partisan hack at that point. Republicans are a problem, yes, but so are Democrats. Democrats are natural saviors. And if you're pretending as if it's all them, making it look like Democrats are somehow this kind of superior option, then you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. The issue is not one party or the other. The issue is both. Both are problematic. Both are bought and owned by plutocratic interests. Both. If you're representing the party, then that's the interest that you're representing. That's the point I'm trying to get at. Don't be a hack. don't come across with this much shame. You almost knocked me off my goddamn chair with the level of hypocrisy in this. It is an amazing thing to create a little segment of yourself screaming about somebody's, it's like, hey, this seems illegal that this information is being, shifted around to people who weren't supposed to get it. Hey, Rachel, you realize just a few years ago you were dealing with Hillary Clinton. You really didn't care about the email scandal, even though Hillary Clinton was guilty of sin. It's amazing. I take a few questions, guys, but I do have one or two I want to do. Schwaber Kate Garnham, yes, I'm sure he has security. Daniel Martin, new subscriber here, great job. Looks like I have a ton of content to get you up on. Oh, welcome, Daniel Martin. Thank you, man. Welcome to the soapbox, I guess. Let's see. Because she plays the neoliberal plutocrats. Philip Marlowe. Unfortunately, man, it's funny. It's almost like this stuff is on spectrums or wavelengths. It's almost like a physical matter reality wavelength that in certain points you're on. And it's almost like you've aligned yourself. It's almost like you're aligning your sight. And if Bush is in office, Rachel Maddow is fucking awesome. You really dislike Bush's guts. This is just your political awakening and you've just become aware of politics. And you're hearing this person who's espousing stuff that you like. Oh, I like what she's saying. I like what Keith Olbermann is saying. Keith Olbermann was my political awakening. I have a soft spot for the guy. And then Obama takes office. She's mum. She's mum. Trump takes office. Oh, she's active again. She's on the ball again. In every situation, is always Republicans in an odd way. It's like the Dukes of Hazzard. You always know who the bad guy's going to be. Is it possible that it's a little bit more complicated than that? Is it possible that Democrats are natural saviors in the same way that Republicans are batshit crazy? All I'm saying is I don't like the hypocrisy in this. That's all. I don't like the hypocrisy. I would try not to get arrested, but I would push it. Oh, you're talking about for Hillary? I'd be aggressive with a crowbar. I'd go straight to Gordon Freeman on her ass. Oh, wow. I wouldn't attack her, but I would ruin her evening. Carolyn Clark, stop watching MSNBC. Oh, what? Stop watching mainstream media a half a year ago because Rachel is paid millions to say the elite's message. Yeah, it hurts me to say it, but look, there may be policy objectives that you agree with and everything else, but the problem with this is you can't necessarily go to a show for honest content because it's a canned response. It's a canned response. Am I going to get information telling me that Democrats are well, you may get information saying Democrats failed on DACA, but you would get it put in the most glowing terms possible. They may even consider it a win. Am I going to get information about, Obama enshrining 80% of the Bush tax cuts into law? Now, yes, they would give it, but I remember distinctly Lawrence O'Donnell making this argument that this is somehow a win, enshrining the 80% tax cuts into law. He's a fucking socialist, arguing that these tax cuts are fucking awesome. I mean, yeah, man, it is difficult to see where she's fallen. That's all. That's all. It takes a massive amount of shame to not care about this one. Do you remember when Democrats was screaming about whistleblowers, like protecting the whistleblowers during the Obama administration? Like Obama was locking all these whistleblowers up under the Espionage Act. And all of these Democrats were screaming at the top of their lungs, we need to protect the whistleblowers. I don't remember it either because that shit didn't happen. That did not happen. They locked up one whistleblower after the next. People, Edward Snowden revealed that they were illegally spying on mass surveillance all across the world, including us. He had to flee to Russia because they were going to put him in prison after he revealed factually true information showing waste, fraud, or abuse, in this case crime, meaning the U.S. government was committing a crime. Was committing a crime. Still after Julian Assange, again, releasing information, locked up Manning, again, releasing information, shooting and murdering a Reuters agent. There was no protection for the whistleblowers. Nobody cared about the whistleblowers. The moment Donald Trump gets in office, you start getting leaks. And the first thing Democrats are saying, we got to protect the whistleblowers. Donald Trump is going after these whistleblowers. We must protect the whistleblowers. That is an astonishing amount of shame and hypocrisy. Astonishing amount. I'm making the point that Rachel Maddow is showing an astonishing amount of shame and hypocrisy by being okay with the other email thing but hyped up about this particular thing. So much so they make it into a little bit of segment for a little blog. It's like, it was fucking amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Jeremy Chase, efforts will be best concentrated on annual billionaire convention where they discuss our enslavement. That's not fun. Snowden is a hero. Maddow is a fucking joke. Ed Powers. Snowden is a hero. And yeah, in this case, Maddow is a fucking joke. I mean, I hate to say it, man. Like I said, Maddow was part of those people in my political awakening. It's just that the moment the Democrat went into office, honestly, this is going to sound weird, but it's true. If it was not for Barack Obama, you would not see these things would be invisible to you. It would be invisible. Maddow show romper room level conspiracy analysis, straight up cartoonish. Isn't that amazing where they went? So I've started thinking to myself, is it the case that when one party is out of power, that party becomes somewhat batshit crazy? And in becoming batshit crazy, the other party becomes a little bit more sane. Now, Republicans are off the political spectrum. They're off the fucking map. And no, they're not your saviors any more than Democrats are your saviors. But I gotta be honest, they've been losing their fucking minds. I mean, they've been to the point of calling people Russian agents. Like, think about that. Richard Maddow came out talking about have Trump's tax returns, and the tax returns she had showed that the man paid taxes. It's stupid. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. Brom, and so on. Here's a question. Can utopia have a large number of homeless if homeless are made up of deposed, corrupt CEOs, bought-off politicians, and bankers? You're talking about a proletariat dictatorship. Yes. Yes, you can have utopia with a proletariat dictatorship. In fact, you can make an argument. You would need a proletariat dictatorship using apparatus of the state in order to level the playing field. Let's say it that way. Cenk is the one that worships Maddow. Not even joking. Once doing a hot mic, he asked what Maddow reported that day, then copied. When the show came back on, I used to like Maddow too. I used to like her. I used to like Maddow a lot. Extremely bright. Like, she's not... Look, I know some of these people come across as goofballs. I don't think she's one of them. I think she's fantastically bright. It's just that fantastically brightness is used in the service of something that is not all that good. And is somewhat disingenuous and dishonest in the way that she gets across the news. She may be saying something to you that's accurate. But the overall tenor of the show that gives across this impression as if you're in this binary process and Democrats are somehow your saviors. That's wrong. That's profoundly wrong. That's immensely wrong. Yeah, that's immensely wrong. Zox Avox, in the future, there will be homeless recycle bins. Homeless recycle bins? What? I don't know what homeless recycle bins are. Joe Terrozo, sure, just read the ones you like. Let's all deny Trump is a disaster who tramples over the Constitution on a daily basis. Joe, he is a disaster. He does trample on the Constitution on a daily basis. You fundamentally missed my point. My point is that if you're going to go against one, you should go against the other also if that one is doing the same thing. I am saying having a value system that's not based on your party, it's based on your goddamn values. It's based on something else external to the political process. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying both can be the problem. That's what I'm getting at. What she's saying in this may be absolutely true. Meaning it may be true that the guy's doing something illegal in regards to passing information or clearances. That may be true. The point that I'm making and the point that you seem to be missing is that both things can be true at the same time. Rachel Maddow can be giving factually true information in this moment and yet be the exact same hack that cared no way at all when Hillary Clinton was doing the exact same thing at 10 times the scale. Be honest. Just be honest. Jeremy Chase, don't feed the trolls, Jamal. Look, I don't mind it. If that cat watches the video and he has a differing opinion than me, that's fine. He's not a... I mean, people can have differing opinions than me. I just don't want people to be assholes. It's like, get your opinion across without being a cunt. That's all. But as you all know, plenty of people have differing opinions than I do. That's not necessarily something all that uncommon. I would have that conversation. The problem with this conversation is that it presupposes that I think Trump is this kind of glorious figure. I do not. I do not. He's a fucking incompetent goofball. JT, those are her values. The cash, man. Cash. Cash are her values, yeah. You get paid a shitload of money and you're associated with the party. It was something that Keith Olbermann said that stuck with me because it crushed something innocent in me. It's like it crushed something deep and innocent within me. When Donna Brazile came out with her thing, Donna Brazile comes out and says, they rigged it. Now, Donna Brazile was hawking a book. Donna Brazile wanted people to buy her book. And so Donna Brazile said what everybody understood to be true, and nobody up to that point wanted to admit. Yes, they rigged it. Now, she was giving interviews, and she says, I'm not going to be bullied and all this other stuff. She was still being a soldier to the end. Keith Olbermann comes out on Twitter, and he says, Donna Brazile has just lost her career. Now, what does he mean by this? Does he mean her career as a politician? Does he mean her career as a broadcaster? What does he mean? Ultimately, it gives this impression that these guys, for the most part, this is just their jobs. There's not anything they wanted necessarily to accomplish, meaning from a values or internal level, a core level. That ultimately, they're just kind of floating to and fro based upon party dynamics and party politics. Her coming out and saying something honest was enough for her, based on Keith Olbermann, to lose her career. That's amazing. It's the wild part about it is it's not, oh my God, they cheated Bernie Sanders. That's what you would expect somebody who's not a hack to say. Oh my God. Like say for the moment, pretend for the moment that you still was in the Democratic camp of, yeah, I don't believe it. I think you guys are being sore losers. Now, say for the moment that you're clinging to the star. You're clinging to this idea because you don't want to own up to your party cheating another person and subverting democracy. Now, you hear Donna Brazile say this. She was the head of the DNC. She's coming out saying this. She's writing the book on this. She's saying that, yes, this is true. Why aren't you shocked by this? Like, why isn't the response, oh my God, they actually did cheat Sanders? That seems to be the natural response. If you are just a decent person who's looking at this with this idea that your values are not necessarily associated with your party, oh my God, they cheated somebody. They subverted democracy. Oh my God, I can't believe that they actually did that. That's horrendous. Keith Olbermann didn't give two shits about the fact that they cheated somebody. She just lost her career. My point in this is, this is their career. This is their career. And there's pressure applied to them, I would imagine, to toe a particular narrative and to toe a particular line if they want to keep that career. I would imagine, put it this way, I would imagine that cash, it helps the burden of shame quite a lot. Quite a lot. If you're getting paid a shitload of money, I would imagine you could look in the camera, and even though you supported a person who was sending her emails, classified emails all over the place, even into, what's his name, Carlos Danger's computer, Anthony Winters, that was his handle, that you can then look in the camera, straight face, and point to somebody else in the other administration, and with a straight face, even though you supported the person who shipped emails all over the place, still say, I think that guy did something illegal by shipping information to somebody who wasn't supposed to see it. It's amazing. If I started doing that, drag me out back and put a bullet in me. I don't want to be that way, man. I don't want to be that way. What's his name? What is his name? The cat that used to work with Martin Luther King. He said the integrity of an artist. I can't think of the name of. I can't think of his name. It'll come to me. He's one of my favorite artists. But he has this thing called like the moral responsibility of an artist, or the integrity of an artist. And at the end of it, he says, at the end of it all, I just want to be an honest man. And not necessarily that you're going to be perfect, not that everything is going to be peaches and unicorns. He's just saying, at the end of everything that takes place, when he saw its writing and everything else, at the end of it all, he doesn't want to lose himself. And he's meaning it from the standpoint of the cash that people throw at him. Damn it, this is annoying me that I can't think of his name. He's one of my favorite people. The name is just escaping me. Shit. Sorry, guys. I need to find this. This is bugging the shit out of me. I was listening to his content earlier today. But yeah, I think he was like, at the end of it, I just want to be an honest man. And he makes this point on how your character arc, meaning you start off with nothing. He said people go and it's like, what do you do? He says, I'm a writer. He says, yeah, but what do you do? Making this point of like people just completely discounting James Baldwin. That's it. James Baldwin. The artist struggle for integrity. Yeah, he's like, what do you do? He's a writer. He's like, what? What do you do? And then he gets to this point of people actually liking what he's doing. They pay him for what he does. And he's making this case of saying, like, it's difficult to hold on to yourself in those situations. The moment that you're tethered to something, that you have a dog in a hunt, that you can lose something. The moment that you know, I have X amount of dollars in the bank. I have a wife. I have a kid. I have all these entanglements that I need to take care of. They have a tether. How do you maintain your integrity in a situation where there's a tether on you that's pulling you in directions that you don't necessarily want to go? Even if you, in this particular situation, say, I don't necessarily want to go in those spaces. Do you get pulled in those spaces? His point was, at the end of it all, I still wouldn't be able to come back to my art. I still wouldn't be an honest man. I agree with him, man. It's not the easiest thing to do. Now, this wasn't Upton Sinclair. This was James Baldwin. No, not James Baldwin. It's James Baldwin. James Baldwin has this debate with F. Scott Fitzgerald. Is it F. Scott Fitzgerald? No, it's not. It's not Fitzgerald. It's a Republican. This goes back into like the 40s or the 50s, and they're having it at Oxford. It is an amazing debate. It is an amazing debate. James Baldwin blew my mind I think I stumbled onto one of his lectures, and in stumbling onto his lectures, it's like I didn't understand what he was saying at first. It's one of those things. It's like he's talking and I'm processing. He's like, okay, but yeah, I don't see what this has to do with the topic. And eventually I realized that the depth of what he was saying was emphasized as he further went into what he was saying. Where you're listening to this like, wow, this man is just blowing my mind. And you hear him in other press events. You hear him in other lectures. He has this thing, the moral responsibility of an artist. The man is fucking amazing. Absolutely fucking amazing. They have speeches where, like, debates with him and Malcolm X. James Baldwin's more on the side of Martin Luther King in this regard. He even opened for King in some respects. I think he won the debate with Malcolm X, but I think he won the debate for a very specific reason that Malcolm X just wouldn't own up to. But no, man, that's awesome. Jamal, don't support Wolfpack. I don't think I support Wolfpack. Curling. Actually, that's not true. So I support what they're trying to do. I don't necessarily know if I support the way they're trying to do it. Let's say it that way. I want money out of politics. I am massively uncomfortable with the Constitutional Amendment thing. I am massively uncomfortable with that. When I watch the Nevada thing, Democrats go to Nevada. Bernie Sanders gets more delegates because Hillary Clinton's delegates were somewhat lazy and fell asleep and didn't get there in time. Something like that. It was something weird. But Bernie Sanders has more delegates there, meaning Bernie Sanders should, by definition, win Nevada. He has more delegates. And yet, you end up with these shady processes that allowed him to bleed off some of his delegates. You have other shady processes that allowed them to steal Nevada. Now, understand what I'm saying. They stole Nevada. Based on the rule set, based on the rules that they set, they still was able to steal Nevada. What about New York? They threw 200,000 people off the rolls in Brooklyn. That was massively illegal by state and federal law. Didn't matter that it was illegal by state and federal law. They still did it. There was no repercussions for them doing it. I'm making a point that just because you have some kind of process in order or process in line that you think you know how the process is going to turn out, you don't know. You don't know. You're opening yourself up to some massive problems. And you're doing that with the most rabid bunch of Republicans that are going to be sent for that Constitutional Convention. I understand that Wolfpack believes that they can constrain this to this individual specific topic. That's one, assuming that everybody follows the rules. And B, that's assuming there's some kind of repercussion if they don't follow the rules. If they just say, fuck it all, and do something else. And you have no recourse. You have no recourse. So, yes, I agree with their goals of trying to get money out of politics. No, this freaks me out. It just freaks me out. I am on peripherally familiar with James Baldwin's work. I have to check him out. Look at some of his speeches, man. The moral integrity of an artist blew my mind. It blew my mind. I love the guy. It's fucking amazing. Over 1 million ballots destroyed in California. Jeremy Chase. Xander, GC, ranked choice voting, please. So, amazing story from Maine. Ranked choice voting in Maine. You know, Democrats and Republicans conspired to stop the referendum that Maine put up. Maine put up a referendum in order to have ranked choice voting. The public itself came together and said, this is what we want. Democrats and Republicans, understanding that this was undermining to their ability to run, meaning If I like Jill Stein, at this point I'm voting for Jill Stein. It doesn't hurt me and penalize me for voting for Jill Stein. Your second vote can be for somebody else, but ultimately that first vote is going to be for who I wanted to go for. This allows third-party candidates to have a better chance in the race and not be penalized by the person. Meaning, if I'm going to vote and there are 3 people in the race, say for the moment that the third person is the person I actually want. That's the person who represents my values. But the Democrat and Republican are the ones who are expected to win. Now, they're expected to win because people have told you that they were going to win. So in your head, you have this idea in your head that I don't want to throw my vote away on the third party. If I vote for the third party, I'm taking away a vote and I'm going to lose influence in this particular election. And so I am going to bow my head, I'm going to fall to my knees, and I'm going to be complicit in getting crack and heroin for the alcoholic drug dealer that I'm associated with, that is the Democratic Party. Ranked choice voting allows you to say, well, yeah, I don't like that guy. I'm voting for the person who I want. And my fallback is the Democrat. Think of the percentage of votes that Jill Stein might have gotten if people would have said, I can vote whoever I want to vote for, and I could have a follow-up vote. Now, my point in this is Jill Stein might have gotten a much larger percentage of that vote if people just voted whoever they wanted to vote for. Ranked choice voting allows that. It takes away that club that the party system has that forces you to some degree. It's almost like logically blackmails you into voting for one or the other. Maine, the people in Maine rose up, bowed to the people, passed it. Republicans and Democrats said, fuck that. And they overrode the referendum that Maine put up. So understand what's taking place. This is not a representative who's doing something that the public may agree or disagree with. This is the public itself. There's no middleman. The public itself says, we want ranked choice voting. Maine officials, no, you're fucking up our gig, man. You're fucking up our gig. Maine rebuffs their takedown, meaning Maine has a referendum that vetoes what Republicans and Democrats had conspired to do, meaning to stop ranked choice voting. Meaning, ranked choice voting is going to be held for all legal elections in Maine. Good job, Maine. Good job, Maine. That gives me this feeling of bow to the people. I've said this before. I think it was Glenn Ford. Well, we were at one of the things, I think it was like the Left Forum or something. He comes up, bow to the people. It's like, bow to the people. It's like, fucking A. Angellum Band, the United States was founded and forged on genocide, slavery, injustice, and gunfire. Anyone denying that has not read history. That is undeniably true. My biggest issue with the Greens at this point is the fact that they're descending into hardcore identity politics. My biggest issue with the Green is that they're named the Greens. That's something we can work with. And I don't mean that in a bad way, man. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just, look, tough love. Tough love for the Greens. And I won't tear it, but tough love for the Greens. People have issues that they want dealt with. Whether you want to talk about economic, whether you want to talk about, this guy needs to make more money at work, this guy needs to make, have college for his kid, this guy needs health care for himself. Basic things that they want their government to provide and that they want you to deal with. So let's start there. Now, I agree with the basic premise that human beings are inextricably linked to their environment. Meaning there's no such thing as a human being in a void. Yes, a human being can be in space, but even in space, that human being is in a spacesuit, and space is still somewhere where that human being is. Human beings are shaped by their environment. Now, I say this to say that the immediacy, or the things that are directly in their environment, are going to be the things that they care about the most. The things that are external to them, not so much. I agree with you that the environment is a key and a core issue, because if you don't have the environment, if the environment goes tits up, everything goes tits up. But politics has nothing to do with reality, at least a tenuous threat to reality. Politics is a little bit different. So the politics of this is, you're named the Greens, which gives the impression of Greens, of the environment. It makes you seem like tree huggers. It doesn't matter what you say out of your mouth. What the people see are tree huggers. Now, part of this is just the name itself. Greens. It makes it think of grass. It makes you think of an environment. It makes you think of all these things. The problem with this is, what's on the forefront of the individual's mind is not the environment. the forefront of the individual's mind has to do with the things that directly affect him in his environment, work, kid, healthcare, college, etc., etc. You have a headwind. The headwind is the name. There are other issues, don't get me wrong. But the headwind itself is the name, the Greens. It's just the name is outside the context of what people typically want or deal with on a daily basis. Because it's so far outside the context. It's like, man, I will get to the environment later. I have this other shit that I have to deal with. They automatically dismiss you because the name comes across as if you're representing something that they're not all that interested in. Just saying. That's my opinion. My opinion. Ed Powers had no choice but to vote DT to keep that thing married to WJC out of the Oval Office. Oh, Donald Trump. Well, you had a choice. You had a choice. Kashmari Kate Gardnome, if I learned anything in Milwaukee public schools, the black community was the vanguard of democracy. The vanguard of democracy. Jay Scott, the problem with the Greens is the way they show up a week before the election. Xander GC, unions, Greens. Oh, unions getting tired of being stepped on. Are they getting tired of being stepped on? It's been 20, 30 years. They've been destroyed. Stepped on is an understatement. Stepped on is an understatement. If Maddow hates guys so much, then why dress like... Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. Shame. Shame. Shame on you, Robert Bouquet, right? I think a better name would be the pot-smoking, peace-loving motherfucking party. Dominic Buscemi. Right on, Dominic. Tabitha Enriquez. Was that over her and Cabin Talk going black meeting video after, etc.? What? Was that over her and Cabin Talk? Well, I know there was an issue with Cabin Talk and some people who had, let's say there were racial flare-up or racial, there was a racial flare-up at one of the meetings involving Cabin Talk. D. Scully, JT concerns about the name of something is awfully superficial. What is in a name? It shows no depth. We're talking about Americans. I mean, dude, I agree with you. You had me at hello. I think the environment is damn important. Now, I also understand that the Greens platform go well beyond environment. I voted for Jill Stein. I already understood the Greens platform, so I voted for the person who represented my interests. You're not talking about me. You already got me. The conversation we're having is, what about everybody else? How does the Greens get other people? And I'm giving you honest criticism and saying the name has something to do with that. Now, this has nothing to do with me in this case. This has everything to do with my perception of what I think the rest of the American public is. Yes, that may be a low regard for the American public, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong. That doesn't mean I'm wrong. When they hear Greens, they get a certain idea in their head. This is what I'm telling you. That idea in their head conforms or creates their reality of what the Green Party is. The reality that it creates has to do with the environment. The environment may not necessarily be the thing foremost on their minds. That's not me. That's just the cognitive processes of an individual when they hear Greens and they're associated with environment. You already had me at hello. You had me at hello. Leela W., we need to rise above the duopoly. Trying to reform corporatists is never going to happen. Agreed. What about the Independence Party? They've got a name. Sanders could split the two-party system. I voted for Stein. So here's a good point with this. Nick Brana. So Nick Brana has been running around, jumping across the country, trying to unite the various parties, meaning the Greens, Socialists, Socialist Alternative, etc., etc. All of the small parties to try to aggregate them into this kind of one party. Now, the thought is that the various parties, because for whatever reason, lefties are like herding cats. All of them like to have their own individual distinct thing, even though for the most part, for all intents and purposes, what they're talking about is the same thing. Having all these lefties come together in their groups, and in their groups vote and decision make as if they're delegates within a larger party. So the Green Party will be an element of the overall party. The Progressive Independence Party will be an element of the party. All of them will have votes. All of them will have, whatever, all these things that allow them to function as a party. I love that idea. That is the best idea that I've heard so far. Getting all of these groups. You might be able to pull lefty Democrats. You may be able to pull wayward Democrats. There were 15 million people that left the Democratic Party. They left for a reason. You still have an issue of getting over the hurdle of legitimacy. Don't get me wrong. You will always have that hurdle. Maine, it will be a little bit easier to do so, but still, you have a duopoly. It's still getting through to people to get beyond this idea of the two-party system. And for that, you have to have this hurdle of legitimacy where people think this person has a good chance of winning, so I am giving this person my vote. Or, I am sick of this fucking party. I'm sick of this other goddamn party. I am giving this other system my vote. It's doable. It's possible. Lefties will have to aggregate, though. It can't be like fighting, herding cats. Green Party never seemed to be interested in any position but that of president. I think they were trying to use that as some kind of I think they would use it to I think they were trying to harness the energy of that particular race in order to create other stuff around the nation. And the presidency was just the easiest way to do that, to draw attention to it. But that's fair. Well, no, that's not fair. I mean, there's no way for you to know. I mean, California, if I'm not mistaken, has a ton of Green Party members. That's one in California. There are Green Party members throughout the United States. Though you see the presidency more because, it's presidency. It's nationwide. As opposed to the individual actions that Greens take in the states. One of the guys who's near my district, I can't think of his name, he's been on my show. He's a Green Party member. He ran in the last election against one of the Democrats here. Eric Reiberg, another Green Party member. They're Greens running throughout the country. They're there. They are there. D. Scully, so you're making the argument that we should assume that Americans would never be educated enough to understand how anything works. So the goal is simply to try to market to them. Yes, that's true. That's what I'm saying. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That sounds bad, but let me say it this way. People are rarely swayed through argument. So if you and I are having a conversation, and this is one of those things on the left, people think that you have a conversation with somebody and they just automatically change based on what you're telling them if what you're telling them is true. It's like, this is just a logical argument. I don't understand why you're not taking this logical argument and going with so-and-so. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. How many people have you convinced through argument? Honestly. Now, at some point, some people may be waning in a particular thought form and, they may fall out of it, in which case they, could change and all this other stuff. I'm not saying people can't change. Marketing works. Marketing works. Marketing works. When Obama was running in that election, think of all the stuff that was hope and change. All of the pictures, all of the postcards, all of the things that they surrounded him with. It was a marketing campaign. That's all it was. Feel the Burn is a marketing campaign. Yes, there's substance to it, but it is a marketing campaign. Yeah, I mean, you may think that that's a bad thing. Whether it's bad or good, it's necessary if you want to get some level of traction. Yeah. Yeah. Now look, that marketing doesn't necessarily mean that you can't necessarily get those people to be more entrenched. But come on. The first step, the first introduction that you want to give to somebody who's interested or who's curious or something like that, you want it to be your best foot forward. So yeah, marketing. Marketing. I'll stand by that. I'll hold that shape. I convince a lot of people through argument because the truth is persuasive. Okay. Okay, fair enough. I'm not saying that not everybody's going to be convinced by the truth, but come on. Are you telling me that everybody you have a conversation with, they flip? They automatically take your position when you tell them your position. They never hold their shape. The majority. You're telling me that the majority. Okay. That's has not been my experience. In my experience, when somebody believes a particular thing, it usually conforms their worldview to that particular thing, meaning everything is seen through the context of that particular thing. But that's fine. All I'm saying is, the question is whether or not I'm right. Whether or not that's a problem. Whether or not that's a problem. Meaning the name. You can dislike what I'm saying, but whether or not that's a problem, I think I'm right. That doesn't necessarily mean that they can't necessarily be worked around. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get people elected. None of that's true. That's perfectly legitimate, meaning you probably, I'm saying this poorly. They still have the capacity to get people elected. But yeah, you need marketing. Marketing's part of the process. Yeah. Matthew Squad. I usually argue not to change the person entrenched in ideology, but for the other people around who may be on the fence. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Because there may be other people who are just kind of wayward and not necessarily sure, listening and, lean a particular way based on what's being said. Yeah, that's fair. 47% of citizens of the United States don't like Democrats or Republicans. Binary system politics is obsolete. No, it's not. Anglin Bland, look, what you're quoting is perfectly true, but that doesn't mean that the duopoly is over with. I mean, you're still stuck in somewhat of a Chinese finger trap, right? You go in to vote. Most people think of it this way: Democrats have in no way changed one iota from when people voted them out, like 1,000 seats lost, House, Senate, Supreme Court, presidency. They've changed squat. They've changed nothing. But guess what? People will still put them back in office coming in the next term in 2018. If party politics was over with, that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen. This is a Chinese finger trap. You need something else to wedge the American public off of these two parties, because right now they're stuck with these two parties. Look, if that's the Greens, good. Fuck it, I'm awesome. I'm all in. I've already voted for Joe Stein. When Green Party candidates on the ballot, I tend to vote for him here in Richmond. But until you have something that's a legitimate third party option, then, you know, you're stuck with party politics. Uh-oh, when is the Debbie fight? It's not a fight. It's a conversation. Yeah, she was sick. She wasn't feeling well. Debbie was supposed to be, Debbie St. Progressive was supposed to be here Tuesday. People have commented that they expect me to get my ass handed to me. I would hope the people on my channel have a little bit more faith in me than that. But I think their issue is Sanders, and they think that my position on Sanders is going to fall apart. I think I can hold my shake pretty well. But she'll be here, I think, Wednesday. Yes, I think it's going to be Wednesday. The woman from Zeitgeist. I mean, not Zeitgeist. The woman from, Jesus Christ, my brain must be getting late. The woman from the Venus Project, Roxanne Meadows, will be here on Tuesday, and St. Progressive will be here on Wednesday. This is going to be like Wednesday at 5 p.m. She'll be here. And I got to be honest, I didn't want to have a conversation with her when she wasn't up to speed. I don't want people to like, you were just beating up on her. She wasn't even feeling well. I mean, Jamal was just mansplaining and pushing her around. Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that. JT, it depends on your goal. If you're trying to have an authoritarian system, then you can market to them and lead them to the subjugation. If you want a democracy, then it does not. D. Scully, I understand where you're coming from. You want an honest system. I get it. I get it. Because I felt the same way that you did. And then I woke up. And not woke up in the sense that they're using it. I'm just saying, you realize that whatever system you're in, advertisement, in some capacity, is going to be a part of it. Now, advertisement doesn't necessarily mean that you're telling people bad things. We're used to advertisement being to cheat and lie to and make people insecure so they can buy shit they don't need. But you understand that advertisement also can have a positive effect in regards to getting cross information in some system that you want to get something accomplished. What happens if you pass Medicare for All and you have a several billion-dollar ad campaign running behind Medicare for All to show people the features and all of the positive of it, the benefits, the things that they save in regards to the old system? That's advertisement used for good ends. You're getting across information to people that otherwise are disengaged from the process. Most people eat their Cheerios, go to work, have sex with their wives, have sex with their husbands, have sex with their mistresses, play their Xbox, go to sleep, take a shower, eat their Cheerios, go to work, have sex with their wives, play their Xbox, go to sleep, go to work. Most of them are checked out of the process. That's what I'm getting at. Advertisement is the medium between those two things. It's necessary, man. It doesn't necessarily have to be for bad ends. But whatever system you're in, you would need a system of getting information out to the public itself. And you can't assume that the public is going to be, ready to slurp down what you're giving it. You have to get it to it some way. Advertisement is always going to be a part of the process. What are your thoughts on Peter Joseph and the Zeitgeist movement? It's unfortunate that they split with the Venus Project. I like Peter Joseph. I like him. I like the guy. I tried to get the opportunity to speak to him before. Extraordinarily bright. Yeah, and right off the bat, I agree with him. I like the Venus Project. There are questions that I have about the Venus Project that I'm going to ask Roxanne Meadows. But as a goal to shoot for, yeah, I love it. I love it. Get money out of the process. Money is a problem in this process. It's not the good thing in the process. Like, imagine, think of all the factories. When people, let's say, you have a economic crash. All these people lose their jobs. The factories are still there. Factories haven't gone anywhere. But these people are sitting outside looking at the factories. Your production has gone to squat. All of this because of the financial system itself. Imagine you wanted to build something. The intermediary between you building something and you getting that thing built are essentially the resources themselves. But all this stuff starts getting boiled down to a number figure. How do you put a number on resources in this way? And is that number in any way corresponds to the actual resources? The money supply can be infinite. They can raise this shit forever. I mean, that's fucking insane. You don't have infinite resources on the planet. Right off the bat, you can see a problem in the way that those things are scaled. Bill Gates, $90 billion. What, 6 people having more wealth than half of the planet? Certainly this is a problem. Certainly this is a problem. Add in the capitalistic system to it, the degradation to the ecology. One or two things is going to be true. All of us are going to crash, meaning all this planet is going to take a massive hit just based on the way we operate. Or we're going to have to change. The question is, what do we change into? I like the Zeitgeist idea. I like the Venus Project idea. I guess your society, in the way that, for instance, soldiers are willing to give their lives in order to kill or to die for their country. They think this is a noble pursuit, and they do it, and people say support the troops, and that's enough for them to do it. They believe that they're doing something good. That doesn't have to be that way. That's not just a natural way of things being. You could have soldiers who are not soldiers at all, who work in pursuit of their country itself and think that doing a particular task for the country itself is a noble and patriotic pursuit. It doesn't have to be that way where you're murdering and killing people abroad. Human beings are malleable and can be changed in all sorts of ways, configured in all sorts of ways. You just have to be willing to deal with the consequences of the way that you're arranged. I love the idea of the Venus Project. My question is always, what about jobs that are unsavory, that nobody wants to do? What if you can't automate each and every process? And how do you transition from where you are to something like that? And I can't see the transition. I have a hard time seeing the transition. I feel like we're more likely to crash before getting to something like that. Like everything falls apart. A large number of people die, billions of people die. The last remaining civilization come to their senses saying, okay, we need to do something different. And they instantiate a hegemonic idea of people being more important to profits. And then you can get something like that because you're starting off with a base of this kind of Star Trek-esque view of humanity. At that point, you've enshrined the idea in the same way that capitalism has enshrined this idea that markets are more important than human beings. I can see it in that case. I just have a hard time seeing the transition otherwise. I will super chat everyone that can name 2 Green Party members running for State House. I can't do that, man. I can't do it. I'm sitting here like, oh, I'm straining myself to find one. Yeah, I can't do it. Can't do it, Jay. Transition with worker co-ops. Worker co-ops are still like little capitalistic endeavors. I mean, I agree with you with that, by the way. You're gutting the ruling class. I mean, you're essentially taking a knife, ripping the throat out of the ruling class at that point. You're saying you don't need to be part of this process, so you eliminate them from the process. The idea being it's almost like a little cancer cell that expands and expands and expands, one eating the business after the next. I would say you enshrine laws that allow people to buy their companies a little bit easier. Meaning, if that company goes away, if the person who owns the company expires, that the company itself gets an opportunity to be owned by the workers. If the person wants to send the company overseas, then the company itself gets the chance to be bought by the workers. I mean, I guess my point is, use the governmental apparatus itself to try to enshrine this thing of worker co-ops and allow those things to prosper under the rule, under that particular government. So yeah. Yeah, but how? Noble Brown, Roxanne Meadows, the woman who was, I think she was married to Fresco, is going to be on the show on Tuesday. So you can ask her your questions. Richard Wolff makes it clear that worker co-ops is the socialist alternative to capitalism. Gregory Wonderwill. Look, it's a good idea, but it's not a perfect solution. I mean, well, I guess she said nothing is a perfect solution. Worker co-ops does nothing about environmental degradation. It also does nothing about this thing of increasing the number of work hours. If I own a company, say I am the owner and god of this company. Now, don't get me wrong. Worker co-ops has many positive benefits, so don't get me wrong. If we're talking about a transition, yes. Hands down, yes. Worker co-ops are hands down better than unions. So yes, don't misunderstand me. There's one catch though. Like, as you automate one process after the next, you get to the point where you realize the human labor becomes somewhat perfunctory. So your system needs to be able to accommodate people working in the capacity that they want to work. The worker co-op idea doesn't allow for the lessening of time. Like, say for a moment, I own a company. Say I make widgets. Another company comes up. They make widgets. Now, I am in competition with this company to make widgets. Now, if I come up with a device that allows me to make widgets 10 times faster, I can make more widgets. Now, the other company does the same thing. There is no point in this process that I'm allowed to cut down on my staff. If I, as a company, say, okay, I'm going to cut down my staff hours because we're making all the widgets that we need. We're making far more widgets than we need. Well, I just have a problem now. The other company now is making more widgets than I am making, meaning I can't lower my staff hours. Meaning even with worker co-ops, there's certain pressures that are associated just with the system itself, the way the system is. That worker is still going to have to work 8 hours because the worker at the other company is working 8 hours, because the worker at the other company is working 8 hours. You're stuck with this thing of production. Germany lowered the work hour, I think, to like 25 hours or something like that a week. If you do it through law, you can do it, where you slowly lower the hours because you have the things that you need in your society. But it's a good start. It's a good start if you're talking about taking the throat of the capitalists. Oh, Pat, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Guys, I appreciate all of your super chats. You guys are immensely important. Thank you for supporting the show. Thanks, Pat. Beating the oligarchy, the answer is evident. In a worker co-op model, the people workers make the decisions. They will not vote to outsource jobs, yes, or poison the environment they get their water from the way the board members do. They may not poison their water, not the water that they're drinking, but you're assuming that they're going to be these ethical people who are running the company. I don't know why you're assuming that. You understand the workers in this case is not going to be any more ethical than the CEOs. They're going to be aspects where the system itself keeps them honest. So no, they're not going to outsource their jobs. Nobody in their right mind is going to outsource their jobs. Yes, they're going to pay themselves decently. So you're not going to have one person getting $10 million and somebody else getting, $10,000 a year. So those things are true. I agree with you on that full stop. But if you own a coal company, are you going to stop producing coal? If coal is fucking over the environment, are you going to stop producing coal if you own a coal company in a worker co-op model? What if it's oil? Are you going to stop producing oil? Are you going to do things in order to protect your particular endeavor? Yes, it's a worker co-op model, but no, that doesn't mean that they're going to do things that adversely affect their business. It's still their business. That business is still going to deal with pressures just like any other business. The only difference is you don't have a few people making the decisions. You have the workforce. But I'm just making the point that the workforce is not necessarily going to do something that's going to adversely affect their salaries and their business. That's all. I'm not shitting on the worker co-op model. I like the model. It's just not a perfect solution. Germany was a work-life question to let the workers decide when they work 28 hours. That's what it was. Instead of 35 hours if they have life issues that need to deal with. Yeah. Gregory. That was the thing. It was like the German union won that. Would shitty corporations ever become co-ops? Anyway, not maybe by force. And by force, I mean, I don't mean by physical force. I mean, if governmental policy comes into play saying, if you're trying to kick a company out or destroy a company, you have to offer to your workers first and the government will make sure you give them the money. If governmental policy comes into effect that allows it, then yeah, those shitty companies can be transferred over. The auto companies would have been a great test case. When those auto companies went bust, Obama should have given that over to the workers. That should have been a worker co-op. Those people failed miserably. They went bankrupt. They should have given it over to the workers. If the government has to take ownership in that way, give it to the workers. Same thing with the banks. When the banks went belly up, the government should have... Look, I think the government should have taken more interest in the banks in general. I don't think banks should be free to just roam and do the shit that they've been doing. Let's take over shitty companies by force. Yeah, I don't mean force and physical force. I just meant using the legal apparatus itself to compel these companies to behave a particular way. If your CEO is dying or if the company is trying to, falling apart or something like that, to allow workers the opportunity to buy the company. The goal in this, at least for the left, and I'll end it on this. The goal in this if you're from the left, if you function from the left, you need to have an overarching goal. It's not enough to say, I just want to move to the left or move to the whatever. An overarching goal, meaning anybody who's in that office who considers themselves on the left should be looking for this idea of, okay, how do we sharply move to do X, Y, Z? Meaning you have an idea in your head of what you want to accomplish, and all the people who are in that party, who are in your faction of the party, is on board for that. It's not random. It's not, we're just willy-nilly doing X, Y, Z. If you're trying to do a worker co-ops, then you're there because you want to do worker co-ops, and you're going to try to make that play or do what you need to do to get that enacted. I just think lefties need to stop functioning in, oh, we're just moving to the left for healthcare. Healthcare to what end? Is that all you want? Oh, we just want childcare. Is that all you want? Do you have an overarching goal in mind in what you're trying to accomplish? Where are you trying to move the country to? And is it just randomly moving to the left? Is it just randomly moving to the left? Andre Mewis? Hi, Jamal. Hi, Andrew. Thank you, man. Andre, I'm sorry. I'm calling you Andrew. Thank you, Andre. I appreciate it, man. You're immensely appreciated. D. Scully, I hear JT constantly arguing for things that are completely detached from how governments and societies work. Your choice is democracy versus authoritarianism, period. I don't think I'm arguing that point. Yeah, that's not the point I'm arguing. Yeah, dude, I don't know what you're talking about on that one. I'm not arguing that point. My point to you is that if you're taking issue with the Greens thing, my point to you is advertisement is part of the process. Doesn't matter what the process is. Even if you're talking about a democracy, advertisement is part of the process. If you're talking about a party process, it just comes with it. I don't know what you're talking about. John Doe, I'm waiting for the real communism was never tried argument from JT. Real communism wasn't really tried, technically. I mean, Stalin took over and had this kind of brutal regime. Essentially fucking maniacs at that point. I mean, and to be fair, it depends. So you can take two tacks with this. You can say how communism ended up was just how communism ended up. Meaning that it was inevitable to end up the way it ended up, just based on the methodology or the theory of it in and of itself. But let's be honest, Stalinism was not communism. I mean, I know the West conflated those two things, but that was the West conflating those two things for political ends. There's a big difference. Robert Pouquet Ray, Maddow is a corporate wolf in identity politics sheep clothing. Gregory Wonderland, government moves like a great amoeba with people pushing in all directions inside. It only moves in one direction when the greater number of people moves the same. Yeah, Gregory Wonderland, agreed. But I guess I'm saying, if you're taking a particular tack and you want to get something accomplished in a particular way, say worker co-ops, say that's your goal. Say, I'm going into office and one of my main goals is worker co-ops, or one of my main goals is getting money out of politics. You may not have the force or the power to do that right away, but if there are other people who are coming in with your aims, I'm saying you guys work together. That's all. I'm just saying work together. Winkle the Bernie bro. Howdy Jamal. Howdy ho Jamal. Love your stuff lately. Jink and Cal debate analysis was great, and quick thoughts on Jimmy Dore ranting about lefty media and TYT. So are you talking about him? And thank you, Bernie bro. Thank all of you guys. I fucking appreciate it. Are you talking about the conversation he was having on State of the Union? Or are you talking about the conversation he was having about the Trump-Russia stuff? Like, I've heard the State of the Union when he was ranting about that. I assumed he was talking about TYT only because, I mean, fuck, he's on the network. I mean, clearly, I don't think he's oblivious. Look, I remember during the election cycle when Jimmy Dore was the main one. Jordan was against it, but Jimmy Dore was the main one who was anti-Hillary. Like, he was on this thing of, I am not voting for that woman. I am not going to be complicit in the way things are going. He got a lot of heat for that. He got a whole lot of shit for that. If you watch his videos immediately after the election, he is extremely testy. Like, he is in battle mode because people they were going at him left and right. They were going at him. They were blaming him for Donald Trump winning the election. Him, Susan Sarandon, and all this, just weird stuff. I can understand him being a little bit testy on this. I can also understand that if you come to a conclusion that the party is the problem, and lefty media is just going full bore on Donald Trump without actually dealing with the fact that the party is the problem. As bad as Republicans are, if anything is getting accomplished, it has to come from the left. Right now, Democratic Party in no way actually represents the left. The corporate owned. So who do you try to attack? Who do you try to fix? You're never going to give Republicans. So he attacks the problem, Democrats. Now, if lefty media is bolstering Democrats in this way, then he ends up attacking lefty media. You're attacking the thing that's, bolstering the thing that you want to actually attack. So I don't think he's crazy. It's logical. It makes sense that if I think Bob is helping Kim and I need to get at Kim, then I need to stop Bob first. Bob is somewhat of the problem and Bob is propping up Kim. It's the same thing with the lefty media thing. If he thinks that lefty media is somehow propping up Democrats because the only thing it can talk about is Trump and the only thing it does is suck up the air in the room, yeah, I can see him having a problem with that. So yeah, I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. Queen Chronicle. I can't believe I was on Hillary's train. Thank God for people like you and all the woke people that helped wake me up. Queen Chronicles. Look, man, I don't think it was an easy choice. I know some people think it was an easy choice. I don't think it was an easy choice. My feeling, I thought Donald Trump is a fucking maniac. That was my thought. Donald Trump is a maniac. That was where I started the process. At least being honest. Like, well, whatever choice you make, at least be honest with yourself about the process. At least to the degree you can be honest. My problem with it was, if you're cheating me, like that's mind-blowing to me. Like, I understand Bernie Sanders, at the end of the process, says something like, we were fighting the establishment and, we didn't think it was going to be easy. I didn't think they were going to fucking cheat. Are you saying that cheating was part of the establishment's process? That's not something that I baked into the cake. Dirty tricks, yes. Cheating, no. Cheating, no. That was not something I baked into the cake when I thought about this contest. And I'm stuck with this fundamental problem of, you've cheated me. If I co-sign the cheating by giving you my vote, can't you do the same thing again? Like, do I want to, give support to the behavior? That's that ghastly in regards to this kind of democratic process or representative government process. Fuck, no. No. I understand Donald Trump is a maniac, but I can't be complicit in doing something like that. I mean, regardless of what I thought about Hillary Clinton, you stuck at this process of, am I really going to vote for this woman after they openly cheated me? And then after cheating me, consistently lying to me that this process was fair and equal? I couldn't do it. I mean, I couldn't do it. At the end of the day, Bernie votes for the bills that fund American imperialism. He is not a leftist. Apathy ape. Noble Brown, time to turn Jamal's screen into a rainbow. And what? I have no idea what that means. Noble Brown, time to turn Jamal's screen into a rainbow. Gregory Wonderland, the essence. And Jesus was an essence. We're communists. It's no, thank you, Noble Brown. I appreciate it, man. In fact, guys, thank you for your donations. It helps. I've said before, I'm trying to expand this channel into a part-time gig. So thank you for your help. I appreciate it. Jesus were communists. The funny part is, I always say that there's no such thing as a Christian Republican. That if you call yourself a Christian, you're a Republican, you're doing it purely for show. It's your mask. It's the mask that you wear. I say it for reasons like that. A rich man has more of a chance of getting through. A camel has more of a chance than getting through the head of a needle than a rich man is getting into heaven. I mean, shit, man. That is blunt in your face. What does Paul Ryan say in the face of something like that? How are you calling yourself a Catholic when this flaming leftist that you're supposed to be worshiping, Jesus, is saying things that repudiates completely your ideology? Be spit on by Jesus. I mean, come on, be honest. Let's get some colors, people. Noble Brown. That was funny. Patrick Holt. Yes, Marx never used the word capitalism. The critique of capital was a critique of capital itself, which is much more fundamental. Yeah, I mean, you know, Marxism gets to the point of like dissolving the government at some point. Like it's, you know, it's extraordinarily radical. But look, the point that I've always made is you can have any arrangement of the world that you want. You just have to be willing to pay the consequences. We've arranged ourselves in a way that capital is more important than human beings. The consequences is all of the negative consequences, all of the aberrations in behavior that you see around you, including the environmental consequences. And think of the karmic repercussions for the stuff that we do, that we don't really think about. You're driving home from work. You're starving. You hadn't eaten all day. You stop by Hardee's, or you stop by McDonald's, or one of these places to get a sandwich. You're supporting a business that's paying somebody below $15 an hour, meaning that person is barely making ends meet. That person is compelled to smile to you and to say nice things to you because their job depends on them saying nice things to you despite them being exploited in this process. You get a sandwich. That sandwich has some kind of plastic and all this other stuff. It's what a percentage of it is actually real beef. And you're going to eat the sandwich. The percentage of that sandwich that's real beef came from a cow that was kept in a pen that was probably tortured and abused, let alone stuck in a fixed location for a long period of time in his own shit and given needles of all sorts of chemicals in order to keep that thing alive and keep that thing fat so it can get more beef out of the process. Your health and the consequences of torturing that cow, of putting injections into that cow, matters far less than the fact that you eat that sandwich and that sandwich tastes good. I'm saying that the consequences of the things that happens to the cow, including the chemicals that they put into that cow, don't matter to the corporation. The corporation just wants to sell you a sandwich. They just want you to eat that sandwich. And they just want you to come back for more. Your health is not part of the process. If in 20 years you get cancer for the shit that you were eating, you can't blame us. Can't blame us. Can't blame us at all. In addition to health issues, in addition to the fact that they're torturing some animal agriculture is the second driver for climate change. Meaning, you eating that hamburger is contributing to some way to the fact that the climate is falling the fuck apart. It's like a karmic repercussion just in the way our society is arranged. There's one burger joint after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. Let alone the consequences to your physical body from the health repercussions of the shit that you're eating. Or the weight issue, meaning having to try to balance your weight with all of the carbs and the fat and the sugar and the salt that these guys put into these foods. It has nothing to do with health. It has everything to do with you eating it and coming back to eat more. I'm saying just in minor things that we do in our world, there are massive consequences for those things. The global consequences. Just in the way we live our lives. What is the consequence of that person, that woman or that guy who's making less than $15 an hour, has a kid at home, and is trying to raise that kid, barely making ends meet? At times, the light's going out because they can't afford the light bill. At times, the kid not being able to go on field trips. What is the life of that individual, and what is the life of that kid put through that poverty in that way? Actions have consequences. That's all I'm saying. Even small actions, actions that the society itself says are perfectly okay, those things have consequences. That's all. He said, I need to make myself a sandwich. Down payment for James Bowen show. See colors made in rain like Skittles. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've done one James Bowen show. I'm going to do another one. I had one up in the queue today. I'm trying to find a good one. So there's one with Malcolm X. I've already done that one. The problem is some of his speeches are just speeches. They don't necessarily have a him. And it's hard to do one when it's just the speech because it's a little dry. Like you're just listening at that point. But thank you, man. I appreciate it. Anyone else see that John Anthony West passed away Tuesday? Who's John Anthony West? I don't know who John Anthony West is. Yeah, dude, tell me who's John Anthony West. Bob Ramirez. Somebody, he said, I'm going to get a sandwich. Do you like Bill Hicks? Ashton Reason. I know of Bill Hicks. I think you're saying Bill Hicks. I know of Bill Hicks. I'm not a fan of Bill Hicks. I'll say it that way. I'm not a fan of Bill Hicks. Robert Bouquet, John Anthony West is the man. Just listen to his stuff a few weeks before he died. I'm going to have to check him out. Xander GC, like the decision to demonize hippies in black communities so they wouldn't rise up introducing and criminalizing drugs. Yes. Yes. The wild part about that is the black president who hits both of those things. It's like both. Ding, ding, ding. Black and a hippie since when he was growing up. Flamboyant pot smoker. Flamboyant pot smoker and African American. He would have hit both of Nixon's targets. You would think that that accomplished African American that became president of the United States would look at this, seeing that he was a pot smoker himself, seeing that he himself is also African American, and understanding that the drug war started purely to lock up blacks and hippies, that he would look at this and say, you know what? We need to not have this. The overwhelming majority of the people in our prisons are there for drug loss. The overwhelming majority are there for smoking a plant. Far more than have committed crimes. You would think Obama would have ripped that shit to shreds on day one. But not so much. Not so much. John Anthony West was a writer and talked about ancient Egypt, ancient civics, politics, and consciousness. I'm going to have to check him out. Yeah, I'll check him out. Finally, my video is up. Please feel free to click it after Jamal's stream is over. Guys, Winkle the Bernie Bro wants you to click after the stream is over. John Smith, it goes back further than that, though. Xander, look at the early FBI during the civil rights. You mean breaking up the civil rights movement by inflicting officers in the civil rights thing? Or trying to get Martin Luther King to kill himself? Yeah, FBI is fucking insane. Anyone here familiar with the work of Robert Anton Wilson? Bob Ramirez said, JAW was an archaeological and establishment feared. He uncovered the human civilization goes back much further than we've been told. Lollapalooza, Jeremy Chase. Alright guys, my energies are failing. Guys, I appreciate everything you guys do for the channel. Like the support and everything else. Yeah, I ended on this one. If you guys enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the Patreon. Thanks guys. Thank you for showing up, by the way. And for all my new subscribers, welcome to the show. I don't know how many remain for this long for the entirety of the show. It started off with a very consistent thing. For those who are new to my channel, the very first probably 15-20 minutes is the show itself, meaning that's me doing the show. The last is just commentary with the audience. It's me dicking around with the soapbox crew or my soapbox. So that's usually the pattern that the show goes. So it's like the first 20, 30, just depending on what the content is. I think the last few shows went rather long. But the first like 20 minutes is me giving my opinion. The remaining parts of the show is the audience giving me their opinion. That opinion can go everything to, dude, you can go fuck yourself, to I absolutely agree. And we explore all of those opinions. And just like in this show, we have people who disagree with me totally. So it's perfectly okay for people to dissent. Dissent is perfectly welcome. Just don't be a cunt. Don't be an asshole. Like, if you dissent, just dissent nicely and politely. People will also dissent back, and everybody can have an awesome fucking show. Dissenting, like, and I mean, holding your shape. If you find that you're wrong, then fair enough. Be honest enough to change your position. But honest dissent is perfectly okay. I love honest dissent on the channel. I think it works. It's the way people cut the wheat from the chaff. There's been stuff that I think I said where I ended up agreeing with the audience member. There's been other stuff where other audience members agrees with me. So it's just Noble Brown, thank you. It chip in for a Matrix show. Everything in fiat anyway. Right, I know, it's like none of it's real. Also, I forgot what I was saying. But no, guys, I appreciate everything you guys do. So if you enjoy it, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support through Patreon or Super Chat. Thanks, guys.